to the Facilitation Canvas. Thank you, Kumar, and Mike. I just want to start off this session by asking, one of the reasons why we provide the Facilitation Canvas is because our facilitators, the Scrum Masters that we see, run into a lot of challenges facilitating, whether that be the simple Scrum ceremonies or even something more complicated than that, custom workshops that they're running. What are the kind of common challenges that you have seen Scrum Masters or other facilitators encounter when they facilitate a session like that? More?
Yeah. Scrum Masters, product owners get into meetings, and especially the ones that are sort of those rote meetings, it's part of the Scrum ceremonies. Oh, it's just a retrospective, or it's just planning, and so we know what to do. We know what the agenda is, and so you get into the meeting, and of course it doesn't run well, because not everyone knows what the agenda should be, and not everyone knows what the purpose is or what the outcome should be. And so what I've found is that using this canvas personally for me is really useful, really helpful. And so I use it all the time, and we teach it in our class, facilitation class.
Right, exactly. Mike, have you seen facilitators run into similar challenges?
Yeah, I have, and that being prepared, I think you hit it on the nail on the head there, Kumar. It really is, and there's so many reasons for that. I think things like the Canvas really help you get stay focused and stay organized on how you should be spending your time and what needs to come where and when, right? In order to be ready. We the three of us, we all talk a lot about ready to discuss, ready to do, ready to deliver. And a lot of people consider the work starting when the how side of a value stream starts actually building or doing whatever it is we're trying to do that creates the value in the end. But a lot of the time, the work that should happen prior to that gets skipped, in which case you can't skip it. It ends up just getting baked into all the stuff you got to do on the house side when that should already be taken care of and well understood. The work goes so much quicker. So yeah, I think that's been my number one thing as well. Not being ready and not taking seriously or carving out and doing the things around the preparation work that it takes to make things work smoothly when you get to the house side of the value stream.
Yeah. Do you guys think that the whole team should be involved in this, because they are going to actually participate in that ceremony or in that workshop? Should the team be involved, or is this a solo effort on part of the facility?
Well, I think they're involved, and how they're involved is how the facilitator for the meeting or the event, whatever it might be, involves them prior to the actual meeting. So maybe it would be worthwhile sharing the actual canvas here. So let's look at the canvas. So we're not going to go over this in detail because we want you to take our class and learn all about how to use this. But at a high level, it's about the purpose. And so as a facilitator, understanding why you are facilitating the meeting is a really good thing to know. And so talking to the sponsors of the meeting, whatever it is, if it's a planning session, then it's the product owner and the stakeholders and probably the team, and making sure you don't have to do this for every planning session, but it's good to do at least once. Hey, what are we in this meeting for? Okay, well, are we here to plan for the sprint? Are we all aligned on that? What does that mean to you and to you and to you and all the different roles? Right, and what outcome are we trying to achieve from the planning? So it's really good to sort of lay the foundation, make sure you have a good understanding of that.
Right. Yeah, I have in my interaction with Scrum Masters and facilitators, it sometimes it has tended to be a push. Right, we are teaching them on what the refinement session should be or the planning session should be, as Kumar said. But I have seen them get immense value by them working with the team to kind of get their buy-in into the process, right? So a refinement is something that we are doing together. We have defined it for us, and we have, as Kumar said, the purpose and the agenda and the outcomes. We have defined it for us, and it becomes their thing rather than what Scrum Guide told them to do, or any of the online references told them to do. So it has always been very valuable.
Right. And I think the other thing about this canvas that's really helpful, and the way I use it is, I start with the left side of it. What's the purpose? Who are the people that need to be there? And what are the inputs? What do I need to bring with me, or the team? That's a team need in order to make this meeting successful, right? So what data, what input, what other stuff, and then I work on the right side. Okay, so if I know what the purpose is, I know who the people are, so I know the why, I know the who, and I know some of the supporting information and data that I need to bring. Then I start to look at, all right, so what do I want to achieve? What's the outcome, or the output? Okay, output of the session. Really, the outcome of the session, right? And it could be anything. It doesn't have to be a planning session. It could be, I'm planning a birthday party for my nephew. All right, so you could use it for that. In fact, a lot of people have used this for those types of events. So anyway, so what's the outcome? How do I know it'll be successful? What are the success factors here? And what do I need to be aware of in terms of pitfalls? What could hinder it? Potential problems, especially in this remote environment that we're in. We have to think about a lot more than just, set up the room and just go there, people will show up. Well, it's not that simple. You got to think about a lot more.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just going to ask you, Mike, if you had any input on that.
Yeah, I had a couple down in Florida several years ago who they had a condo on the beach down near Cocoa Beach or something near the Space Center. And every year they would go down, they would have it kind of closed up for the one session, but they would open it up and kind of make it ready for the season, the big season. And then they would spend a little time there. And it used to take them 3 or 4 weekends to get it done. And between a combination of using this, which kind of got them set up and ready, and then using a little Kanban board to kind of track the work as they went along, they got it done in one Saturday versus several weekends. In fact, they spent the rest of that next day down there hanging out, enjoying their time. And then the next weekend, which they thought they were going to be working, they hung out because it wasn't booked. So like you said, seeing things, getting a chance to see something and talk about it prior to having to work on it, whether it's a meeting, whether it's something you're delivering, whether it's a birthday parties, anything, it just goes faster. It just goes better. The outcomes come quicker. Everybody works more synchronously. And it's good time spent that would be done somewhere later down the line in a lot more haphazard way typically, and not as congruent or organized, and not as efficiently.
Yeah, and I have also found that this is a very effective way of communicating what the intent is, the purpose, and how we're going to go about it before the actual event starts, rather than just pulling up an agenda slide right at the front of the meeting. Walking the team through this canvas really helps the facilitators kind of center everyone present to what our targeted outcomes are, how are we going to go about it, and familiarize ourselves with the tools and techniques that we are going to use.
Attendees come more prepared, and they tend to spend less time in the session. It tends to, you get to, all right, everybody good? Yep. You tend to get to work faster because everybody knew what to do. And if there was any question, you get it out of the way now, instead of when you're in the session, when it's too late to do anything about anything that's missing, anybody that's missing, any misunderstandings about what the outcomes meant, what were those things? So yeah, it just works a whole lot better.
Yeah, I would say that the other big takeaway from using the Canvas for myself, and also showing people how to use it in our training classes, is that most people, at least from my experience, focus just on the agenda. They, without much preparation into okay, what's the purpose, who are the people, and so on. I mean, they have an idea, of course. You just don't go in a meeting and say, all right, whoever comes. You do. There is some intentionality behind all meetings. I'm not saying that. However, the agenda is likely to be poorly formed in terms of If you don't do the preparation, it's just sort of a rough draft of an agenda, and it doesn't really serve the purpose for the people there. And so by really using this complete canvas from the left to the right and then the middle, then you really have a crisp agenda. And as facilitators, we can pick the tools and techniques that help fit the purpose of that meeting much better than if we just sort of wing it and go with it. Yeah. So that's my experience with this canvas. Anything else you guys want to add?
I think that's a good Agile short, but Mike.
Well, one last thing. It may seem like you're adding a lot of extra work, and maybe the first couple of times it's a little cumbersome. It gets really fast. It'll take you very little time, and it will save, for the time you invest, it'll save 2 to 3 times the amount of time you invest in doing this in the meeting and getting and that time getting into work. Absolutely.
I will say one final thing. The consistent feedback in our facilitation class that we run is one of the themes is this canvas. People, at first it's like, well, this seems kind of too much work, or it just doesn't seem like it's going to be that useful. But these are experienced facilitators, scrum masters, project managers, product owners that come to these classes just to learn more about how they can be better facilitators. And it's consistent. The feedback on using this is consistently pretty awesome. Actually, they love it. And they plan to use it after the class. So come to the class so you can learn about this and other great tools to add to your facilitation toolkit.
Yep, and that's a wrap on the Agile Short, episode 7. We will provide you links to the facilitation class and downloading the canvas in the show notes. Thanks for joining, guys. Have a good
Bye, everyone. Thank you, everybody. Have a good day.